Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into the VinesPomcast. So excited to have you with us tonight, chatting about my favorite topic in the world, Liberty Hoops. With us, as always, is the Reverend at Did Liberty Win, Will Matthews. What's up, man?
Nicholas, it is a great day to be a Flame.
It's always a great day to be a Flame. But none better than when you beat up on North Alabama,
Indeed.
the juggernaut that is North Alabama. And then I'm always bad at this. I do not know your last. How do you say your last name, Jeremiah?
It's Flinchum.
Flinchum,
Flinchum, yeah.
like
This is how you spell it.
flinch.
Like flinch. Yeah, I get that all the time. I literally get that all the time. So yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry to
No, seriously.
add into
It's
your
all good.
misery.
I get it all the time.
Well, my man, we're so excited to have you with us. You are a massive, massive Liberty Flames fan, so we're always excited to have some OGs on the show with us. How are you doing tonight, my man?
I've been great. I'm doing great. I had a pretty good work day. Hung out with some friends from work after work, and then drove over to my friend's place and just been watching the game since and waiting to go live with you.
Dude, we already got comments about you. You are
Mr.
a legend.
Popular. Mr. Popular.
Oh, geez, I can see it.
Let's go, man. That's awesome. Wow,
Bill.
fantastic.
Hi, Bill.
And you got one from Zach too, man.
Zach.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right. Well, while we tame the Jerry fan club, let's talk about this game that just happened. Liberty beats up on North Alabama 72-53. North Alabama made it interesting there for a minute, and then Liberty just pounced on them there to end the game. Really impressive performance. North Alabama is not good. They're one of the worst offensive teams in the country. But for Liberty to have not played, I don't know how many days was it, Will? 8 days, 9 days?
Whatever it was way too long.
It felt like an eternity.
Amen.
And to come out and just, they played suffocating defense tonight. Every single point that North Alabama got, they worked for. Darius McGee didn't even shoot the ball well, and they still win by 19 points. Will, we'll start with you. What did you think about this performance tonight?
Just overall, a very balanced offensive game. When I saw your slide up there, I didn't even realize that Darius had 18. It didn't even seem like it, What an off night for Darius. He was so contested all night long. Every shot he took, he had, 2 guys on him, 3 guys on him. Kyle Rode came up huge. Blake Preston, after COVID and missing quite a few games, really came up huge tonight. He was the game changer.
Jared, what'd you think?
I agree with what he said. I just thought it was a really great game. Darius, slow start, but I mean, Darius is Darius. He's going to come out on top. He's going to make big plays. He may not drop, 48 like that one game, but or 38 on that one game. But I mean, hey, big playmaker. He's going to do what he does. And there's, like you were saying, like Kyle Rode making big plays. Just the team as a whole is coming together, doing what we need to do. I love our young guys too. So.
Yeah, I thought Blake Preston was phenomenal. Really set the tone. This is a good matchup for him. North Alabama is one of the smallest teams in the country, and just really stepped up, played well. Rode was fantastic in the second half. Had that one crazy layup behind the back. Really impressive showing for him. Will anyone stand out for you tonight?
JVZ. The captain of the pack line, his defense was so good tonight.
Yeah, he is so polished. Everything except for the shot. He did airball a 3. Yeah. But man, I've been saying it, man. When he gets that shot down, he's lethal. He's player of the year, Conference USA, type guy, and man, he's talented. Fellas, any other thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it's just the isn't it hard to believe that this was the rematch for the championship last year?
what a weird tournament.
Yeah,
It's
that was
just,
so.
I mean, like it was awesome to like clinch in a weird fashion because it kind of got more publicity in a way. So that was like
Yeah.
kind of cool. But yeah, just playing the tournament on a neutral with like these like high school caliber announcers and then playing in a game that didn't matter on ESPN. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, overall, as far as, just the kind of the totality of the game, I wasn't too worried about this one. North Alabama is not a very good team. And even with the layoff that Liberty had, you're kind of stuck thinking, okay, are they going to be looking forward to Jacksonville State? That's going to be a huge game, especially if they hang on and win it tonight at Kennesaw, which they're winning by 1 point right now. You kind of think like, are they going to look forward to that? Is this a little bit of a trap? But, at the end of the day, I wasn't too worried about it. They hit or miss sometimes on kind of how they were playing tonight. Shiloh wasn't particularly shallow tonight. But I guess he didn't really need to be because everybody else was scoring as well. And he still had, double figures, 10 points. So he had a good game. But yeah, just Saturday night is lining up to be an important and a huge game.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get to that here a little later. Bill commented points in the paint. Thoughts on that? Yeah, I mean they dominated, and that was that's North Alabama's weakness. Anyone who can look up look up uh, uh, high school level stats could see that they're a really small team, and Liberty just capitalized on it. They found their weakness and they exploited it, and really good to see that tonight. As you do see, if you're watching live, I do have some scores on the bottom. Hopefully, try to update them as we're going on. I do have Kennesaw, Jacksonville State on. Huge game. So we'll definitely let you guys know when that goes final and talk a little bit more about that matchup that may or may not be two undefeated teams. If it's not, then maybe Liberty would be playing an undefeated Kennesaw in the next game. So pretty cool there. Let's talk about the game that feels like it was a million years ago, but the big hyped up game against the new and improved Jacksonville, who was going to just suffocate Liberty with their defense, and Liberty scored 88 on them. Liberty trailed 16-5 early and then finished the game on a 88-33 run. I had to check that 8 times. I was like, that's not right. I'm doing my math wrong, and just an incredible performance. We should have done a show just after that. I thought we'd get another game and we could do it right after. But, Will, what was your thoughts on this just utter beatdown of Jacksonville?
Yes, when we started doing this, Nick, I don't think we did this, but I kind of thought maybe we would, and I wrote out my own kind of preseason rankings, and for whatever reason I had Jacksonville kind of high. I kind of had them maybe 5th behind Liberty and Jacksonville State, Eastern Kentucky, which that turned out to be a bust. But I thought with the new coach and some of those transfer players they would be much improved. And we always kind of have trouble with, some of those Florida schools anyway. But number one, defense, that is a little bit laughable after what we did to them. It was Darius McGee, again, 27 points, another off night for him. He is so lucky that he has guys like Keegan around him that can actually help us to win games. I'm being sarcastic, by the way.
Yeah,
I love the fact that that's an off night for him too.
Yeah, for real. Credit to Jacksonville. I mean, they've completely, had a total overhaul in players, a new coach, and they played well. And they did get a nice win tonight. They beat Lipscomb, who just looks really bad. I think they're 2-5 in the conference now. Man, Liberty really just completely ruined that program in 2019. You hate to see it. But But yeah, credit to them. But I mean, they're not in Liberty's company. I mean, with all due respect, I mean, I think we saw that. I think there's a couple teams that are close to Liberty. I think Jacksonville State. I think Kennesaw. Um, maybe Bellarmine.
Maybe Bellarmine.
Maybe I'm gonna wait and see. I don't know if they have the size to compete with Liberty. They didn't last year.
I will let you know.
Yeah, and you're gonna be there, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. That'll be fantastic. That's an awesome arena. Growing up in the Cincinnati area, Louisville playing their home games there. It's a kind of it's an historic arena. It's really cool that they play there. I heard some chatter that their coach could be in the consideration for the Louisville job that opened up. I was like, kind of like taken back, but this wasn't like some random dude on Twitter. This was like an actual CBS story. Like he was one of the 5 candidates. I guess it's because he has much ties to the Louisville area and is so respected and all of that. But I thought that was pretty wild. Jerry, do you have any thoughts on this Jacksonville game?
Oh man, it's been a while back. Trying to think back on all of my like tweets I was tweeting out. I was throwing a lot of shade that night. I remember that specifically. I was tweeting at the Jacksonville men's basketball account, all their fans. I have a few of their fans that followed me back and I'm just trying to like interact with them. But yeah, no, it was just incredible night. Going in with all that hype around them. Oh, Jacksonville's gonna possibly upset Liberty and all this jazz, and then you see a almost 40-point deficit in this game, and just kind of like, man, like I don't even know. I can't even describe it, honestly.
Yeah.
Liberty was just clicking on all cylinders that night. And then you kind of have the COVID pause, and you're like, man, we were just really playing it at our peak potential at that point. But hey, we came out tonight and much of the same.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's go real quick around the ASUN. There's a lot of games going on, so I don't have the updated standings. But we'll look at the bracket here in a minute of kind of where things would be now. If you're watching, you see the net and the KenPom. I'll just run through really quick for the podcast the net rankings. So Liberty's first at 98. This was coming into today. Liberty first 98. Jacksonville State second 127. Kennesaw 183. Bellarmine 213. Florida Gulf Coast 217. Then it's Jacksonville, Eastern Kentucky, Lipscomb all the way down at 277 and 8th in the ASUN. Then North Alabama, Stetson, North Florida, and holding the bottom is Central Arkansas like they've been all year. But they are gaining ground on North Florida, and they may catch them. Those two teams are actually playing tonight. I think North Florida's up by a couple as we speak. But, Will, what's your overall thoughts on the conference, kind of where things stand right now and the hierarchy of the ASUN?
Mm-hmm. Big surprise is Kennesaw. They look very solid. Eastern Kentucky be going the other way. To quote Hugh Freeze, that could be a little bit of rat poison right there. Kind of feel like they're a talented team and they just haven't gotten it together yet. And when they do get it together, they could, potentially put a dent in some of the ASUN standings and kind of claw their way back up.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you on EKU. That's a team that is Liberty plays them a little, maybe 4 or 5 games from now at their building. And if somehow Liberty is undefeated at that point, it's a big if because Liberty's got a lot of tough games coming up. That's got a trap game written all over it. Absolutely. And I'm sure Richie knows that, but that's kind of got that. And they're a team I would not want to see in the ASUN tournament just because they play one of the fastest tempos in the country. So they'll be up and down the floor and they're going to shoot a lot of threes. And if they have a hot shooting night, they're Eastern Kentucky's a better version of North Florida, I feel like, overall. Jerry, what's your thoughts overall kind of on the ASUN and where things stand?
I'm honestly a little bit surprised to see Lipscomb dropping as much as they have in the last year or so. I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm out in Nashville now anyway, so I'm walking down the street or going to church or something, and I pass a Lipscomb student. They're like, "Oh, you need to go. You guys need to leave the ASUN." Blah blah blah. But like Will was saying, big shocker with Kennesaw State. I follow a Kennesaw State fan on Twitter as well, and we're always going back and forth, and like we're just kind of giving each other a little info on the teams and everything. And like we were just talking about the other day, just how impressive they were looking. And then Jacksonville State, like I'm really liking seeing like the new guys coming in, dominating pretty well. Like you're saying, like EKU is kind of struggling for now, but they're definitely a dark horse, I think. Which I'll actually be at that game as well, 2 days after the Bellarmine game. So looking forward to that as well. So
Yeah, EKU's got kind of a cool arena. They got a really cool uh, center court logo thing that's kind of like really blends well. So yeah, that'll be fun. It's a fun little trip, and
mhm.
we'll kind of see where Liberty's at. Um, Jacksonville State is 65-63 leading Kennesaw with 2:45 left. So we've got a dandy cooking there. Here is where things stand if you're watching. If the ASUN tournament was today, this was the best I could keep it up to date before the show. But right now, you would have Liberty and Jacksonville State as the one seeds. Remember, this year they are split into divisions East and West. So you have two number one seeds, although one of the teams will be the number one overall and would host if the two met in the championship. So um, that obviously could make the game Liberty has against Jacksonville State and Kennesaw, and Bellarmine very big. So Bellarmine and Kennesaw are the two seeds right now. Liberty, if it started today, would play the winner of EKU Stetson, which just is like, man, those are like two of the worst teams, and Stetson's caused Liberty some problems, and EKU's got all that talent. I don't know, guys. It feels like it feels like the bottom of the ASUN's a lot stronger this year. I don't necessarily think the ASUN is like this, much improved league overall. I just don't feel like there's a lot of as many easy games. I don't know. Do you get that feeling, Will?
Yeah, it feels like if we are indeed the number one overall seed, we still have it tougher than than Jacksonville State. You don't think I wouldn't worry too much about Florida Gulf Coast or Lipscomb, but just knowing that Stetson has had our number in the past, and then Eastern Kentucky, if they get it all together and they make a run, it feels like we have a tougher road even as the number one overall seed in that.
Yeah, and I mean things very well. We still got a lot of games left. We still
Sure.
got over a month, so things are gonna shake out a little bit more. I would imagine Central Arkansas is not gonna finish as the 3 seed in the West. they're the worst team in net and Ken Palm for a reason. I think they got off to a really nice start, and a lot of credit to them. But they also play like EKU when they had like half their team out from COVID, and had a bunch of home games. So again, credit not taking it away from them and their good start, but I think they'll probably fall down. Um, that either them or North Florida would probably be like the two teams. Like I'd love to see like the winner of that, or North Alabama. I think would be. I think we'd feel pretty good about them after seeing what Liberty's able to do tonight. But Jerry, what's your thoughts? Kind of just looking at this bracket. Any teams that you would really want to avoid early?
Well, initially my first thought is like I'm just glad that Jacksonville State's over there for right now. I kind of agree with what y'all were saying about the EKU and Stetson matchup. I mean, obviously, either of them could be a dark horse from Stetson giving us problems and EKU being new, and we haven't seen what they have to offer yet. So, see how that goes. But yeah, we'll have to see how Bellarmine plays. They've lost that one game in the conference the other day, but they're still a really good team. So we'll see how they play out. But just Bellarmine and Jacksonville State, even Kennesaw State as well. Just see how they all play. But those three are my big it could be a toss up. So
Yeah, I'm with you on that. did get a question. I'm going to look up the official answer to this, but Chad asked a question. What's the percentage we run the table? I want both of you guys to give me a number of a percentage. What do you think is the chances Liberty runs the table? Will, we'll start with you.
I'm going to give it – that's a tough one. Knowing that we have Jacksonville State and Kennesaw left, Eastern Kentucky and Bellarmine, I'm going to give it 50%. I'm not like super confident that we are going to do it. But it also at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me.
50% is pretty high. I mean, Jerry, what's your thought?
Running the table, I would probably give it a little bit lower than that, maybe 30, 40, because like I've been saying since the beginning of the season, I feel like we're going to probably drop at least one or two. As of right now, the way we've been playing, I'm thinking one will be the worst now, but you never know. Again, like I said, we have a couple teams we've never played before who might be better than we expected. But as of right now, I'm thinking 30, 40% just because I feel like we're going to drop one. So
have faith, boys. Come on. 50%,
all right,
baby.
I want to have faith, but I also have to look at the numbers that people get paid to make for a reason. So I believe I looked at this earlier today, and Liberty's chances were 4.1%. After today's win, the percentage from KenPom has gone all the way up to 4.7%. I mean, I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic than that just because, I think this is just based on, a lot of other factors. I think Liberty, I think 15% is giving them a really a lot higher than, what most mathematicians would give them. I'm going to say 15%. I mean, KenPom is actually still saying that Liberty is going to lose 3 more games at some point in the regular season. They're saying 3. I don't see that. I think 2's probably the max. And the reason I do say that, I mean, Liberty still has, I think, 3 tough road games. And I mean, they're all back to back, Kennesaw, Bellarmine, and Eastern Kentucky. I mean, those are all road games. And if you've watched the ASUN outside of Liberty, road teams have really struggled. Even some of the teams that are, I think, significantly better than others, they've really struggled. So, I mean, I'm going to say probably about 15%. And Jerry, you think 1 is the maximum amount of games they'll lose the rest of the way? Well, what do you think is the max?
0.
I'm all for that. I'm all for I'm all for it.
I just want to make sure I'm checking my math here. You said they have a 50% chance of running the table, and then you said the maximum amount of games they could lose is 0.
I misunderstood. I'm sorry. I don't know. I think I don't know. I mean, realistically, what do you think you could see them losing? Maybe the rest of the season, 2 to 4 games.
I don't. We're talking regular season only.
Yeah. I'm not talking about tournament. Are you guys including tournament in there?
No. We were saying regular season.
Okay.
I mean, I would say 2. I mean, KenPom says they're projected to lose 3.
Yeah.
That a lot would have to go wrong. Now, granted, we also have to factor in you never know what could happen with another COVID pause, and
That's true.
We're I think saying this in good faith, as if we think at least for the most part everyone's going to be available. There's always the possibility that that's not. I don't know. Maybe that's in the KenPom numbers. Maybe they. And maybe when they're also making that number, it's factored over years and years and years and years of data. There are teams that did get players injured, and that kind of gets factored into that number of just how hard it is to win that many games. I'm thinking another good question here from Zach Green. In your mind, how high could you realistically see Liberty climb in the seed line? After I'm assuming Zach's thinking assuming that Liberty wins the ASUN tournament. He says 12 or 13. I'll start with this just because I was kind of looking at this earlier today, and I'm really glad Zach asked, because I actually meant to put a slide in on this and forgot about it. So really good question, Zach. right now, one of the top rated bracketologists, I think his name's Kevin Polzer. He's been doing this a long time, and he's really good, really accurate. He had Liberty as a 14, but had Liberty as the top 14 seed. So if you're at the top 14 seed right now, you're probably basically a 13 seed, because one of those teams ahead of you is going to lose in their conference tournament. You don't know which one of them, but one of them is, and probably an inferior team is going to win that Liberty would be ahead of. So, you know, but I mean, Liberty right now is undefeated in the ASUN. So if we're thinking they're going to lose a game or two, they're probably going to drop. It doesn't matter if they, go, 8-2. Those 2 losses are going to hurt more than the 8 wins, I feel like. So I don't see a scenario where we get to a 12. Even if we run the table, I'm not sure we get to a 12. I think if you look at those 12 seeds, I just don't think Liberty had enough in the non-con and is going to have enough opportunities, to get that. When Liberty got that 12 seed, I mean, remember, they beat UCLA, but UCLA wasn't even their best win. They beat Lipscomb twice, and Lipscomb should have been a tournament team. Lipscomb, went to the NIT championship game, and they were in the top 50 in net and KenPom. So Liberty's just not going to have those wins this year. I think realistically 13 is probably the ceiling. I think the most likely scenario would be a 14. And then, if Liberty drops a couple games, I think it's possible Liberty, loses 2 games and wins the ASUN tournament as a 15 seed. I don't like to be that guy. I want, but I think if we're really crunching the numbers, I just think it's hard to get higher than that. I'll shut up. Will, what do you think is kind of where you see seed wise?
Yeah, I think 12, 13 is very optimistic. I think 12 is out of the question for sure. 13 maybe out of the question. I guess it would really just depend on some other teams and some conference champions. I'm kind of thinking along with you, 14, especially. Even if we do run the table the rest of the way and win the conference tournament championship, I still see us at 14. I think we would need help getting to the 13 line. And yeah, if we do, drop a game or two the rest of the way, I think 15. I don't see any way we would be a 16 seed. I know we don't have any quad 1 wins or anything like that, but I don't see us being a 16 seed at all.
Yeah, I think we'd have to lose 4 games to even get in that conversation. We do have a final. Jacksonville State did knock off Kennesaw. So we will have 2 undefeated teams on Saturday night.
Let's go.
So yeah, and Bill also commented that. So thanks, Bill, for that. Jerry, what do you think seed wise? What do you think is maybe the ceiling and the floor, I guess?
Yeah, so I would say ceiling is probably 13 as well. Like you were saying, it probably takes something really crazy for us to get up to a 12. I don't think it's impossible. I can actually see a fairly good chance of that, but I would say 13 is our best. 14 is probably the most probable, but anything can happen. I would love to be 13 or 12, but I want to say probably 14.
And you know what? I know 12 seed. That's what we were when we beat Mississippi State. And then last year being a 13, we were 13 seed last year, correct? Do I have that right?
Yes.
And we almost beat Oklahoma State. We played them very close in Cuffy lockdown, Kate Cunningham. Even if we were wound up being a 14 seed, depending on the matchup, I still think this team could pull out a win in the first round.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one other point is I think people think there is a massive difference between a 13 and 14, but if you actually look at the history of the numbers, it's almost the same amount of upsets that have happened, which it seems weird. There's a massive difference between a 12 and a 13, but there really isn't that big of a leap in the 13 and 14, and I'm not sure what the reason is for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was looking at that the other day and I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, and you probably have so many teams that are so similar and clumped together that are going to make it. Somebody's got to fall down to the next line.
Yeah, absolutely. Good question here about where Liberty was last year. Liberty was 98 last year in KenPom, and I believe they were 96 entering today. Now, I'm sorry, they were 98 after the loss, so they might have been a little bit higher, but they're right about the same in KenPom. LU grad 11. I'll try to get you the net ranking. I think it was a little better than that before the end of the show. Let's move on to the upcoming schedule. I know we've kind of like talked about it a little bit as the game goes on, but if you're watching, here it is in graphic form for you. So Saturday, Jacksonville State. Man, what a game! I hope Liberty Arena is popping. I heard it's a sellout, which is just so exciting. So yeah, we'll all be watching and I mean, this is gonna be cool. I mean, it's gonna be the start of hopefully a good rivalry because these two teams are gonna stay together in CUSA. So, man, just really excited for that. Then at Kennesaw. Now, the funny thing is, Kennesaw on Monday, it's a tougher game than Jacksonville State on paper, because it's a road game. I believe Liberty is a 4-point favorite at Kennesaw, but is a 6-point favorite at home against Jacksonville State. So I know Jacksonville State's a better team, but when you factor in, home versus away, Kennesaw is probably the tougher game. And then at Bellarmine, Liberty did trounce them in their only meeting last year, but Bellarmine's having a nice season. Bellarmine beat the snot out of Stetson tonight. So they're playing well, and then that Eastern Kentucky trap game I talked about is the next game, and then a home game against Lipscomb. Will, what are you? I mean, this is a gauntlet these next 4 games, and then you still have Lipscomb, which I know they're not good, but it's still Lipscomb. They're going to get up to play Liberty. Asajalo is going to get up to play Liberty. Will, what are you looking at with the schedule? And do you think it's as tough as it looks?
Yeah, I'm going to change my 50%. Yeah, man, 4 tough games in a row, 3 of them on the road, back to back to back. Let's just hope everyone is healthy. Let's just hope that no issues. And what if, even if we did have some kind of pause and we could reschedule just one of those games till later? I think that would be okay too. Break it up a little bit.
Yeah, but you better be ready to watch some Liberty hoops here. We had a game tonight, then we're back Saturday, then Monday, then Thursday, then Saturday, then Tuesday. Man, we're getting into it. So hopefully,
it's a great time to be a Flame.
Hopefully none of these games do get, paused. But, I mean, it is certainly possible. Not even Liberty, the other side, could have it. But this is a gauntlet. Honestly, I look at these next 4 and I say Liberty goes 3-1. I think they did well. I don't. If anyone's upset about that, I think you're being silly, to be honest, if that happens. Jerry, what are you looking at here, man?
I agree with you what you just said. 3-1 in these next 4 games is definitely a good thing to think about. Man, shoot, I'm trying to think which one's a bigger trap game, because there's 3 away games, man. Hopefully I can help out with some Liberty crowd noise on 2 of those, but shoot, I'm gonna say Liberty gets the edge at Kennesaw, and then possibly drops. I don't know. Actually, I don't really want to say that. I'm gonna say Liberty gets the slight edge at home against Jacksonville State, but then one of those 3, I just have a bad feeling about. I don't know which one. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, it's.
But
it's
also,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that, but also I just looked it up. I'm about 3 hours from Kennesaw. I couldn't go to this game. Could go to 3 straight games.
Jerry living the single life. I love it.
Yeah. We ain't going to Kennesaw on a Monday night. Yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
Bye, Bill.
Sorry. You look at all those games individually, and you're like, okay, Jacksonville State. Yeah, I feel confident Liberty's going to win. They're at home. They won 45 in a row. They're going to win that.
Exactly.
You look at Kennesaw. Kennesaw's playing really well, but yeah, I mean, Liberty's still a better team than Kennesaw. They'll bring it. Bellarmine, yeah, we beat the snot out of them last year. Eastern Kentucky, yeah, they're not playing well. It's like, oh, all these kids individually look fine, but I think when you get into the, it's just also the quick turnaround. And that Eastern Kentucky game at the end with the tempo that they play, Liberty is going to be exhausted, I would think. I mean, unless these guys are just, that well trained and ready to roll. Yeah, that and Bellarmine plays a pretty. They don't play a fast tempo, but I feel like they shoot a lot of threes. So you're running around a lot. They go around a lot of screens. They're looking for threes, and so they're an exhausting team to play as well. Yeah, this is tough, but this is gonna be fun. I mean, this is if you are a Liberty basketball fan, I mean, tune in these next 4 games. I mean, this is the season. This is the until the ASUN tournament, obviously that's the season, but this is the regular season. This is better than probably honestly the Diamond Head, because this is going to have more of an impact on getting home court advantage in the ASUN tournament, which is going to be huge since it's back to home arenas. Zach's challenging you to go. He said, start making the case for the belt next year. Uh-oh.
Oh, you know it.
Never too early.
I was this close. I was this close to advancing through the Elite Eight. This close.
All right, before we get to our closing of the night with a very, very special message from the Reverend, Jerry, I just want to thank you so much, man, for coming on. Really liked having you. Love your support of Liberty basketball. My favorite thing on the planet. Yeah, just thank you for all you do for Liberty, man. This is a fun team. You got any closing comments or thoughts for us as we wrap this show up and get into the gauntlet of the ASUN?
Just keep going out here, repping the Flames. Get out there, support. Be in Liberty Arena. I mean, we just need to show out for the team, show out for the squad. If I can get some more time off from work and make that a 6 and 7.5 hour drive, I would be there as well. But it's a little bit too much. But yeah, just let's get all of our supporters out there and go Flames.
Yeah, fantastic. Don't ever take this for granted. All right. This is if you're watching, here's a slide of the college fandom one-on-one from Reverend the Reverend William Matthews. Will, I'm going to let you preach to the crowd.
Well, let me just start off by saying this is not just some kind of knee-jerk reaction to folks who have been stirring the pot on Twitter and talking about their other allegiances. This is something that I have been thinking about for probably close to, 10, 11, 12 years or something like that. So this is something that's been on my mind for a while. What we have here is College Fandom 101. And so I would like to draw your attention to section 1.1, where it talks about alum, meaning that you either went to that school or you graduated from that school. That being your personal connection to that school means that your primary allegiance. So I'm saying that there is such thing as a secondary allegiance. So for those that say that I am making the rules for exclusivity on allegiance, I'm saying that it is possible to have a secondary allegiance. That is completely permissible. But your primary allegiance should be to where you went to school. So, for instance, admittedly, I grew up as a Carolina fan, North Carolina, not South Carolina. And Kirby, you know this because we had many discussions back in the day. Chad, get some Kool-Aid, buddy. I grew up as a Carolina fan, and if you would have asked me my freshman year at Liberty, if Carolina played Liberty, who I would pull for, in my ignorance, I would have said, well, I'd pull for Carolina. But as I got older and thought about that, I thought, why would I pull for Carolina? Number one, I did not go to Carolina. Nobody in my family went to Carolina. There are other schools in my area that are closer than Carolina. And, Carolina didn't want me. Okay, I didn't apply to Carolina. I'm not smart enough to get into Carolina. I barely made it into Liberty. So, but if Carolina really wanted me, they would have sought me out. They did not seek me out. They didn't send me any mail or anything like that. So they have no allegiance to me. Why would I have any allegiance to them? So primary allegiance goes to where you went to school. Your secondary allegiance can still be that team that you pulled for as a child. Maybe you have a favorite player that I love Tyler Hansborough back in the day. And so I was like, man, Tyler Hansborough, that's my guy. I'm pulling for him. Secondary team. Maybe you had a cousin that went there, a best friend that you want to support. Maybe it's someone just, in your geographical area that, is kind of a big deal. Secondary allegiance is fine. But when your secondary team plays your alma mater, you pull for your alma mater. This is just logical reasoning, guys. This is not anything to say you can't be a fan of this school if you can't be a fan of this. No, I'm just saying that there's a such thing as a primary allegiance and a secondary allegiance. There are also special considerations for these things. So, for instance, if you did not go to college and you do not have that primary allegiance, then you can have this periphery allegiance that you can follow these teams and see where they're at and pull for them on a given occasion. But if you want to have a primary allegiance, then pro sports is for you, pal. Everybody gets to love pro sports.
Amen.
Now, I should add some more special caveats that I have seen throughout the day on Twitter as folks have stirred the pot. I am not rambling, sir. I am sermonizing right now.
Chat's killing me right now.
Special considerations would be if you had a child that went to a school other than the school that you went to. In my book, that is acceptable because you are connected through your money, and that is a big deal, right? College is expensive, and your children are important. So in that case, we adopt those folks into the fan base, and we welcome them with open arms.
Wow. Thank you for that.
That was beautiful.
Thought-provoking, spirit-moving message, Reverend.
I welcome disagreement, and it's okay that you're wrong.
Well, on that note, this has been the VinesPomcast. We thank you so much for watching or listening, whatever you chose to on this fine evening. We'll try to come back some point next week, hopefully after 2 big wins for Liberty against Jacksonville State and Kennesaw State. What a time to be a fan of the Flames. Liberty now 5-0 in the ASUN, continuing to roll, continuing the Richie McKay legacy that we've got going on. So if you haven't, please subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify under the VinesPomcast. On YouTube under Liberty Classic Games. Got some good stuff on there. Got the full game of Darius McGee dropping 48 on Dunk City. So head on over to that and give me a subscription. So give us a subscription so we can have you join us on some future shows. So thanks, Jerry. Thanks, Will. Until next time, go Flames.
Go Flames.